And we are live again from Cambridge, Massachusetts, the capital city of the Internet. I am Dr. Jeffrey Lant, your host, your MC, for the last over 20 years in this position. This is the longest running live webcast anywhere in the world. It deals with improving your finances and making you better off, richer, and indeed more comfortable than you've ever been before in your life. But today we have a very special addendum. In the light of some front page information about the late Mrs. Jacqueline Onassis, better known as Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. We're going to make you an offer. It's a over $20,000 offer, and I'm going to give away some free copies of my new book, Net Profits, which is a $29.95 deal at Amazon.com. You pay for it or not. If you want to go to Amazon and buy the book, please be my guest. Giving away books seems almost strange when we usually sell them. In any event, some of you will walk away today with a free copy of my new book, Net Profits. But first, I'm going to put on the screen the offer of the day. Every day we have a special offer for all the people who have been striving to make money on the Internet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the blocks on the screen, and you can see I have a rather raspy voice today, and I'll be putting them all on the screen for you. Okay, you can print them out. Here we go. We'll be putting these, there are 6 parts to this offer. It's a magnificent offer. It's the best offer on the Internet by far. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. And there are 2 additional pieces to the puzzle, one of which is if you all look towards the top of the page, you will see in the color green, bright green, that as part of this offer you will receive over 700,000 SEO submissions. Over 700,000. It will be automated. You'll get them in the next 90 days. And they will obviously increase your SEO ranking, which is the whole idea. And finally, the 6th part of this offer will be that each of you will receive from me 50 customers from my personal list. Will be taken off my list today and will be given to you immediately. And William, oh, there you are. All right. Obviously, this is whoever. You know, William, I'm just in the midst of doing the offer, so if you wouldn't mind, since I have a raspy voice, why don't you go back to square one with just having me read the offer in the usual way.
Okay. Now that you have finished our introductory video, great, then you should already know the awesome offer that we have for you. By placing your order in the next 15 minutes, we're going to give you the $6,500 bonus offer that was made in the video. Then we're going to give you another $400 each and every month of cutting-edge success material, all with the resale rights. Plus, we want to give you all the material we have given before that's going to be worth thousands of dollars to you. You will have successful training come from Home Business Boot Camp. And then you will have 75 monitors like Dr. Lant and myself to have closed sales for you today without charging you anything. You'll get over $800 worth of crucial wealth building software, all with resale rights. You will have from Worldprofit a unique ClickBank promo kit. We'll enable you to make at least $1,000 a month without spending another penny. You also will get the Magic List Builder. That list builder can turn any website to a list building page instantly. If you accept this offer in the next 2 minutes, you will get 10 associate members that will have generate commissions for you. So if you are ready to accept, all you got to do is click on that red Order Now button. But let's go to the next part of this offer. It's important you place your order with us in 5 minutes. For in 5 minutes, we'll give you 50,000 additional money-making credits. That will include 10,000 additional guaranteed visitors to go to the website of your choice from our traffic center. 20,000 credits coming from the popular Safelist and the Mega List system. You also get absolutely free our newest marble generator. It's called the Automatic SEO Promo Bot Kit, a $450 retail value. It's going to help get you guaranteed #1 positions on Google, Yahoo, Bing, and other search engines so you can promote your URL to over 3,000 backlink sites in just a few clicks. It will allow you to post your message to over 70 Safelist and top traffic exchanges. Finally, we will include the SEO Power Pack of 23 great software programs worth thousands of dollars to you. Our gifts if you join us now by clicking on that red Order Now button. Let us go forward. Still more with your silver package now. You will have over 1,000 original articles to put on your blog by the master writer and marketer, Dr. Jeffrey Lant. You want to see his complete collections, you go to jeffreylancearticles.com. Active dealers like myself have generated thousands of responses in about 15 minutes every single day. Plus, we have brand new software from the master inventor himself, George Kosh. It will enable you to create hundreds of ebooks, about 3 minutes per ebook. But this spectacular offer is made once and once only, so act now by clicking on the red Order Now button. Order in the next 15 minutes. You can add to this $12,000 bonus package where you can create, customize, and produce video articles almost as fast as you can read a sentence. New, and very new. Order in the next 7 minutes. We will include easy-to-use software where you can give away unlimited free advertisement to any and all of your customers, whatever you are selling. The technical wizard, George Koch's latest invention, where you use it daily to get your customers to act, to respond, to buy a $1,995 retail value, but it's yours free.
Oops, we may have lost William. Well, there's bad weather in Louisville, so we hear.
And it's Worldprofit.
Is impacting Reverend Buck. I should just go ahead with the program and hopefully hear.
It's exclusive. But we're going to the best part of this. Even more.
We thought we lost
the hottest thing on the net. Have you been to YouTube lately? Now you can stay at home and profit. If you know how to do it, our international known marketer, Dr. Jeffrey Lance, Worldprofit CEO and co-founder, will show you how to use his video marketing to sell anything. Order in the next 7 minutes. This incredible video marketing course, this is a $10,000 value, and any university would charge for a 2-day workshop. But this is an ongoing training. This unique course that you will have does not exist anywhere else, but you can get it now. And you also will get Dr. Jeffrey Lance's new book that he has, the 19th ebook that he has, Net Profit. You want to see how you get all this? Yes, you will be able to get it free today on Amazon. It is a $30 value, but it's your bonus, and you can get thousands of leads by 1 click. So hit that red Order Now button and take advantage. Chris, we want to welcome you. We're at Anything Goes Hour. So listen to Dr. Lant.
Okay, we have in short the best offer on the internet readily available. William, we'll give you the 700,000 submissions. If not, take a look at the top of the page, everyone. There's a bright green color. You're going to see the fact that we've given you over 700,000 SEO submissions. It's an automated function. You're going to get a 90-day subscription to those, and of course, the 50 customers. Now, the great thing about technology is you have to ride with the punches. You cannot be surprised. It's like a program with pets and children. We're never quite in control of this in the technology, are we? But we ride with the punches as we do so for over 20 years in the space. It's now my privilege to present a special program. It was inspired by the front page of the New York Times 2 days ago. It was reported, and of course, by all the major newspapers in America. I wonder if that includes Louisville. You could tell me, William, if this was a front page story. But I awoke to the news that Jacqueline Kennedy's 15-year confidant, an Irish priest, and her letters to him and his to her are going to be sold. This, of course, is greatly of interest to me, and it's really a part of a playing out of the Kennedy story. As the principal players die, they leave their letters, their mementos, their remarks, their confidences, their thoughts about the Kennedys in general, and Mrs. Kennedy in particular, and these are coming out bit by bit. It rounds out our profile of her in some surprising ways. And so I'm going to just introduce you to this story if you haven't seen it before. The letters started in 1950 between Jacqueline Kennedy, who was not yet married, to Father Joseph Leonard of All Hallows College in Dublin. And they developed a rather surprising, really intimate correspondence over the course of many years, until the Father Leonard died about within the year after JFK was assassinated. And so we learned a great many things that are interesting. Of course, we all love peeking into the private affairs of the Kennedys. That's been going on ever since they were Kennedys.
Yes.
And I'm going to read you some of the things that they said to each other in the letters. And I'm going to read you an article. Then I am going to read you an article that I wrote about Mrs. Onassis, the time that I spent with her. But some of these comments seem almost kind of like Leave It to Beaverish. For example, can any of you imagine this? Mrs. Kennedy writes the following to the priest, Father Leonard, about her mother-in-law. We all have feelings about our mother-in-laws, don't we? Here's what she says to Father Leonard about her mother-in-law. I don't think Jack's mother is too bright, and she would rather say a rosary than read a book. I think when we see this in print, it's rather startling. It's that kind of comment that many people have about their mother-in-laws, that of course they wouldn't have been printed in the New York Times. It is recorded in the correspondence. Of course, we know that the reason I'm playing the theme from Camelot today is because the Kennedys loved it. And the whole idea of Camelot came about. But the fact of the matter was that Mrs. Kennedy, as she then was, had an abiding interest in kings, queens, castles. And her brother, Auchincloss, said she loved the stories about the kings and castles in Ireland. And she did all of the ghastly things. She went to the Blarney Stone, bent over backwards to kiss the rock for luck. She went to various places in Gaelic history. Her interest in kings and queens and princesses there from the very beginning. The most heartrending portion of the letters is, of course, when there are deaths involved. Her son, Patrick Bouvier, died when they were in the White House. It was very sad indeed. And there are a number of comments between them. And Father Leonard wrote her a letter and said, and it was this on the death of her son, Patrick Bouvier, I hope that yourself and me to join in your grief of the death of your little son, who is now beginning his glorious and eternal life. I can't refrain from adding that I believe Patrick Bouvier will do more for his father and much for his spirituality as for me, than if he had lived to be a very old man like I. And I say all that owing to my friendship with the President and yourself. I look forward to his helping me also, for I need it. When the assassination occurred, first of all, Mrs. Kennedy remembered a present that she had given her husband, which was a small pillbox, which is kind of ironic because JFK had innumerable prescriptions. The prescriptions, as we now know, were purchased from multiple doctors so that nobody would actually ever know the whole picture. And he carried that pillbox around his neck even to the day he died. This was a description there of giving it to him. And she took it up the issue of God. What role did God have in the death of her husband? Just as anyone would do. Some of the most poignant parts of these letters are when she discusses her feelings of growing lack of belief in God, growing lack of trust, and an anguish at why it all happened. After all these years, and all the millions of gallons of ink that have been spilled on the Kennedy family, Those simple words have the power to disarm and have a terrible impact on all of us. Well, having said that, I'm going to read you my article because I am part of the people who knew her and had things to say. And as I say, these people are bit by bit dying out. Sort of alarming when you think of all many of the principals are now dead or ancient. And I'm on the younger side of it all. Now, as always, I'm going to put the link to this article on the screen so you can follow along with it or read it at your leisure later. And I'm going to put the music on again. This is so apropos. It's the overture to Camelot. Jacqueline Kennedy's Tapes, 1964. And My Afternoon with Mrs. Onassis, 1977. I am writing this article because my father, Donald Marshall Lant, asked me to do so. Like millions of people, he and I have been fascinated by the candid memories of the Queen of Camelot. They are mesmerizing and make us wish that all other consorts that had the equipment and chutzpah to do the same. Think of Anne Boleyn, for example, or Marie Antoinette. Then be glad that Mrs. Kennedy, as she was then, and as we all expected her to remain, the conic widow of her sexy philandering man, be glad, I say, that she permitted herself the luxury to be herself, and open up in a way which has horrified many who think the lady was indiscreet. Perhaps. But these tapes, and even my encounter with Mrs. Onassis as she then was, make her human, and very much the kind of engaging company one would like to spend an afternoon with, as I luckily did. For this article, I have selected the theme music from Lerner and Lowe's Camelot, 1960. You'll find it in any search engine. Both husband and wife liked the music and were perfectly willing to be cast as the leading royal roles. But let's be clear, the actualities are quite different. In the musical, King Arthur loved his queen and none other, loved her so much he was willing to sacrifice what he most loved so that she could be truly happy with his best friend, the man he most loved and admired. In real life, JFK had a randy obsession with a multitude of women, dalliances which embarrassed and humiliated his wife. And as you note, she discusses with Father Leonard. In Camelot, the queen found profound love and satisfaction from Lancelot. In reality, Jackie stood by her man and tried to make the best of an unabashed hedonism, which only the discretion of the media kept from becoming a national scandal. The lady, her objective, and herself. In 1964, Mrs. Kennedy was, as she would remain, the most celebrated woman on earth. She was known by all, revered by most, a byword for chic, style, classical elegance, and yes, frosty detachment. But this was just the public woman, and the public woman was not the most interesting part. That was saved for those with entree, and now for auditors to these tapes. Item. Here is a quote from the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962. When official Washington, D.C., including the most senior White House officials, were quite convinced Goddard Dameron was about to obliterate their world. Quote, please don't send me away to Camp David. Please don't send me anywhere, she implored JFK. If anything happens, we're all going to stay right here with you, even if there's not room in the bomb shelter in the White House. I just want to be with you, and I want to die with you. In such a moment, death creeping close and menacing, one tells the truth and means it. Jackie Kennedy loved her man perhaps to distraction, and so we understand her better and wish he had too. Item. Quote, Bobby told me this later, and I know Jack said it to me sometimes. He said, oh God, can you ever imagine what would happen to the country if Lyndon was president? I mean, he didn't like that idea that Lyndon would go on to be president because he was worried for the country. Quotes like these are telling. There's a he said, she said, frat house quality about them. First, brother Robert Kennedy, Bobby agonizing about Lyndon Johnson, then Vice President Johnson sitting in his office agonizing about how the Kennedy brothers hated him, and First Lady Jackie parroting back her husband's line, oblivious to what it meant and just how silly it reads, and how fatuous. This is most assuredly not the language of great Shakespeare. It's more like the telephone hour from Bye Bye Birdie, 1960, a musical about teenage love, hot, smoldering, obsessive. Item, quote, Jack told me of a tape that the FBI had of Martin Luther King when he was here for the Freedom March. And he said this with no bitterness or anything, how he was calling up all these girls and arranging for a party of men and women. And I said, oh, but Jack, that's so terrible. I mean, that man, you know, is such a phony man. Consider this remark for a moment. A great philanderer's comments about another leader with sexual peccadillos gets his wife to call that leader a phony. And our mouths drop with amazement at the double standard, the pot calling the kettle black. The wife seemingly unaware of the gall and irony. Yes, these tapes are eye-opening, all right. History will out, compliments of Jacqueline Kennedy, once first author. Stalwart partisans of Camelot, afflicted by age and gnawing uncertainties about the people they elevated to their godlike status, must be chagrined and dismayed by these tapes. Advocates for women's rights will be disappointed too by the former First Lady's almost geisha-like obeisance to her lord and master. It reminds one of another character, Lady Tiang in The King and I, 1956, the number one wife whose vocation was tolerance. This is a man you forgive and help protect as long as you live. He will not always say what you would have him say, but now and then he'll do something wonderful. This is not the Jackie Kennedy we thought we knew. And it is most assuredly not the lady I met in New York in 1977 at a high-octane fundraising party at the home of Lally Weymouth, in aid of Radcliffe College, where I then worked. The guest list was small, exclusive, and studied with celebrities, starting with Weymouth's mother, Barbara Walters, Sam Spiegel, John Chancellor, all stars, the most celestial being Mrs. Onassis, there as mother of Radcliffe undergraduate Caroline. It was her designated gopher, and I was her designated gopher of the day. As a Harvard-educated historian, I was ecstatic to be in the presence of history, and I was determined to note and remember everything. Scrutinizing Jackie L. I can see in my mind's eye the room in which we met and can still feel the frisson when our hands touched. She spoke to me in that celebrated whisper all her own. I offered to get her a drink. Not just now, she said, and maneuvered us towards the couch. When you have the chance to sit down, take it, she said. Thus spoke a woman who knew how to stay comfortable. The words were followed by the slightest pressure on my right arm, indicating that I was to sit down too. This was careful strategy. She rightly supposed I would follow her lead, and me in the place beside her meant none of the media stars always searching for a story could do so. Smart. She was a lady who loved books, and we would have chatted about them, including my first book about the British monarchy, then in preparation, Insubstantial Pageant, Ceremony and Confusion at Queen Victoria's Court. She expressed polite interest. After I saw her collection of books years later, I knew why. My subject and approach were right up her alley. In due course, the almost regal presentations to Mrs. Onassis commenced, but she made it clear I was not to move. And so I began my intense scrutiny, as if she were out of a portrait by Whistler, Rose in Silver, the Princess from the Land of Porcelain, 1864. Her skin was the skein of veins, a delicate mosaic. I looked, but did not wish to be seen looking. However, I could not take my eyes away. She must have accepted the fact that everyone would look, stare, unable to stop. But few of those looking ever had as good a vantage point as I. After a time, my space was needed for bigger fish, and my hostess needed assistance. In due course, Mrs. Onassis, having done her bit for Radcliffe, prepared to leave. I got my final reward when she thanked me, and again I felt the frisson as we shook hands in farewell. It must have been the same with Cleopatra, the Lady Livia, the Empress Alexandra of all the Russians. She looked directly into my eyes as she spoke, and I looked into hers. I saw those famous eyes again the next day when she graced the cover of Women's Wear Daily. It was one of the famous Jackie O photos, no sign of mosaic, his wide-set eyes, and a look so too wild by. Next to her in that photo, there was, said the caption, an unidentified man. You can, I think, guess who that unimaginative, unidentified man might be. And that's all part of the cottage industry now that constitutes the Kennedy materials as they come out. I thought you would enjoy hearing this article as they do. It's obvious to me that there will be more articles of this kind as the principals die, the papers and the memoirs and the diaries are released. And I'm privileged to have been one of those who was up close and personal and made, I think, very good use of my time with Mrs. Kennedy. Now we're going to carry on here for another half an hour with the Politics of Anything Goes. And it looks like William Buck was blown off the page by the weather of Louisville. I wanted to talk a little bit about something that Mrs. Onassis loved, and that's books. I have now, as you all know, finished my 19th book, and I'm hard at work on my 20th. It is the 40th anniversary of my first publication of my first book, the book that I would have addressed to Mrs. Onassis as she then was, Ceremony and Confusion in Queen Victoria's Court. I want to say something about the use of this book. I gave a copy to Mark Loder, who happens to be with us. He turned us down. He turned down the best offer on the internet. And so I made him a deal. I gave him 15 minutes. If he would read my book, I would give him the book as a gift. I gave him 15 minutes to read it and change his mind. Now, sadly, in this case, the particular story has a sad ending. He didn't change his mind, which is unfortunate. The book makes it clear that there are two groups of people on the internet. The 99% who will never make a nickel. No matter how hard they work, and that's not going to be very hard, they will not have the adequate support, the intellect, the time, the dedication, the commitment, the tools, the content, the monitors to assist. They just won't have it. For them, the internet will be, yes, please do come up, Lisa. It will be a very sad thing, but it's better to tell the people right off the bat that they're not going to make it. Now, they won't necessarily believe you, but they're not going to make it. If a person, I hope that all of you by now have had an occasion to read the book, and not just read it, but to study it, because it is a study in making money. I am an expert on very few things. The things I'm interested in, an expert in, including making of money. I've been making money for a very long time. In this book, I tell exactly what it takes to make money. No ifs, ands, or buts. And so if a person turns us down on our offer, I'm very happy to have you monitors give that person a free copy of my new book, if and only if the person will guarantee to read it on the spot and return to discuss it with you or with me if I'm available. Lisa, what do you think about that? I want to give these people like Mark Loder every opportunity to succeed. And I don't want their failure on my conscience. I don't want to think, oh, if only I had said thus, if only I had done thus, would have saved Mark a great deal of aggravation. I want to give him every option to embrace the necessities of making money on the net. And if he then turns it down, well, I wash my hands of it. I did my bit. Your comment?
Yeah, especially after the bonus, and as I say, they had plenty of time to go through that, and I think that's a great way to do that.
Plus, it's a nice consolation prize if they were to see it as such. I am not, or have I ever been, in the business of giving books away. Samuel Johnson, Dr. Samuel Johnson, the 18th century man who created the English dictionary, said, "None but a blockhead ever wrote but for money." It was quite clear that the only reason to set, in his case, quill pen to paper was to make a few shekels, and I agree with him. But I am in a position to be able to give this book away. One, for the benefit of all the members of this community. Two, for the benefit of the people who read it and follow the directions. It's considered a kind of a cosmic gift. Now, this won't work if you're a member of this community who won't read the book. And don't give it a lick of the promise, as my father used to say. You sit down and read it. I wrote this book for you. Have the courtesy to read the book for yourself and for me. Comment, Lisa?
Yeah, I think it's best. It's been in their best interests as well. It's not just, as I say, you have access to get this for free, and not only that, to get it out there. That only assists us for the community. That I figure are privileged enough to have that. So for you to give it to people for free, they should recognize the value of that. That it is, in fact, the best gift they could receive.
Now, I want to address the issue that I may be of a wizard from another planet who doesn't need food or drinking or sleep or whatever. I need all of the above. And it came to me a couple of months ago that rather than wait until September, which was my original plan, to do this book, that I do it now, so that we go strongly into the summer. And so we are. But again, do me the good turn, do yourself the good turn of reading it. And do tell me what you think. I don't want some plastic Hallmark card response. I want a gut, visceral, true to life response. Your comment on that, Lisa?
Definitely what it does. The ebook, for me, it just cuts it right down to what you need to do to be successful. It doesn't pull any punches. It's right there in their face. They can accept it or not. The reality is there. And they should choose to look at that and take a really close look at what it means to them. If they're, I just put it aside and miss out on it and regret it later.
Now, it was my privilege to include in the book a number of people like Lisa who asked for their candid comments about the trading, etc. here at Worldprofit. And she gave them along with everybody else. To my complete surprise, over half of the monitors never came up with a word. This book will be read, if I have to carry it to 1 million locations myself, it will be read by 1 million people at the very least. And so those of you who are too busy, in quotation marks, with what you're saying in the book, missed out on a brilliant opportunity for your own growth and development. Because to be a part of that book is to be a part of an important piece of history. Comment on that, Lisa.
My goodness. Yes, I jumped at the chance to put a comment in, and to me it was hard to narrow it down to under 75 words. At first I thought that's a lot of words until I started writing it. I had to keep cutting back because I found the book so interesting and well worth it. So
Now,
I still think I went a little overkill.
I don't mind an extra word or two. I mind that there were no words at all. People said, oh, well, we're too busy.
No.
The craft of writing is a peculiar craft, where you have to immerse yourself for long periods of time in your own thoughts, separate from human beings. Humans get in the way when you're writing a book. Every author will tell you that they hide out in a particular space, close the door, close the window, rip the phone out of the wall, and get out of the business of writing. That, if nothing else, needs an occasional bucking up comment. Just because the act is underway doesn't mean that a few comments along the way of a sort of say buoyant nature are not treasured and valued, and may I say, from you to the author. Now, the next part of this. I aim to put this book in the hands of every person that you can derive from your promotions. If the days you do not promote, you are preventing us from using the latest tools and training, the latest procedures for the benefit of yourself and your customers. I can't possibly imagine how that could be positively construed. Lisa, can you imagine that all they have to do is use the landing pages, etc., that George Sandy ever created, do the promotions every day, direct the people in here, and we'll handle them. We will handle them all. This is the easiest system ever if you do it, and the hardest ever if you don't. Comment again.
Yeah, I found, well, as soon as I started promoting the book itself as a free gift for the members to come in, I found myself finally getting on the top promoters list where I haven't been there before, and without doing any extra. So that just goes to show you that the book is bringing people in.
The book, I can now tell you, I published my first book 40 years ago, 40 years of my writing books. 19 so far, another to come. So let's just say in round numbers, 20 books, 40 years. Every other year I've gone to the well with this brain, hoping that it still had something of germane interest to say and offer. And so far, so good. But the whole business of books has changed dramatically. People, some person should be unidentified said, for you, this is a short book. Let me tell you something. I'm going to address that right off the bat. It isn't that the book is short. It's that the book is as long as people will take to read it. If the people were screaming for a 700-page book, as they did when I wrote my book, No More Cold Calls, which is almost 800 pages in length, then they did an 800-page book, but they won't read it. So consequently, the ability of people to direct their intelligence and focus is the key component here. You can only write as much as the reader will read. So what do you think about that comment, Lisa? This book is too short. This book is as long, it's like the Paris fashion game, where the dress is long enough to cover the subject and short enough to inspire great interest.
I think coming from the author as yourself, Dr. Lant, you put everything right that needed to be said into the book, and however many words needed to be said to get to the point. No more, no less.
The plain fact of the matter is that over the past 40 years, literacy has decreased dramatically. The production of books has decreased dramatically. The reading of books has decreased dramatically. The number of bookstores decreased dramatically. The number of libraries decreased dramatically. The number of librarians in the libraries decreased dramatically. What does this tell us? It tells us that we can only write what the people will read. A man who writes an extra word is a fool. Is it to write what will not be read is a kind of ego gratification that I, for one, do not engage in. I don't need my ego massage. I simply need people to understand what we're doing with this. So, Lisa, what would you say to people? And I can tell you right now by looking at the list who has not yet opened the cover. What would you like to say to these people? It is genteel and pointed.
Pointed. Okay. Well, I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I'm actually seeing it starting to take place, and then the final product, even, I was just, it was awesome. I thought I'd got the opportunity while you were writing it. That was pretty special, just to see the draft form taking shape. But the final product, awesome. I was impressed, totally impressed with it, and along with the work that went behind it, that would be Sandy's, the design and everything, the setup. The whole entirety of it was great. You're missing out, folks, but definitely I'm going to be one of the ones cashing in on Dr. Lant's name.
That's right. With my permission and indeed my gratitude that you can do so. Again, as I was writing along one day, towards what proved to be the end of the book, suddenly it occurred to me that I had reached the end. There was like an inner voice that said, "You have now said what you needed to say. End it here." And that is a kind of a call that artists of any kind, be they writers, plastic, art, poetry, music, all heed that voice, because you know that at a certain point it is over. It is done, it has been done, it is perfectly done, and it is well done, and need not need one single period, comma, exclamation point, or slightest breath on the page. It's done. Now, with this book, all the people in the world, like Mark Loder, will get an opportunity to break through the stale business of failure. We are now in a period on the internet where the overwhelming majority of people that come to us are failures. Not just in one particular, but over and over and over. Money, loss of time, inadequate educations, complete befuddlement about what this is and how it works. They've tripped over every tripwire that exists. We get the damaged. This is a hospital, not a website. It's a hospital for the wounded. There's a little bit taken advantage of. People will fail and falling. And they're wounded. Like any wounded animal, if you reach out your hand to help them, they're going to bite you. First thing a wounded animal is going to do, if you bring a soothing hand to their brow, is they're going to bite you. And you say, but why are you biting me? Because they don't know better. They don't know up from down. We have had the luxury for the last 20 years of living in a positive bubble where people are kind and decent to each other, where there's community, where there's empathy and care. This is not reality for most. This is a bubble. It's an invention that George Shanahan and I brought you all along to help us perfect. And we have. But don't you think for 1 second this is the way the rest of the internet is. Try surfing now. Try all the words, the vulgarities, the terrible words, the words of rape and degradation, the words of lack of acceptance, and hatred. Think of all that. That is the reality we deal with every single day. And we deal with it well, but we are not the norm. We will never be the norm, because the norm demands civilization, and few people have it outside of our doors. The number of civilized people on the internet is far dwarfed by the number of vulgarians who pollute the internet that we love. Do you have a comment on that?
That's true. Just being up here, there's, I think for the most part, you get the majority just are in here to, you know, they're lacking, they've lost money, but the odd few are just, there's no reason for rudeness or anything. And as I say, the Worldprofit is the most, has the most integrity of any company that I've ever come across. That is why I'm a member. That's why we have the community that we do, because there is caring people there. They're in here as Worldprofit, part of the community.
I knew, I've known for a long time, that we represent the last vestiges of civilization. Every time I open a newspaper and I see another crisis, I see another scandal, particularly of the dimension of the kidnapping of the young girls in Nigeria, which has disturbed me greatly. In fact, I have nightmares about this could be the 21st century. You can't prove it by that. It happened in the 10th century. But I think of the problems that we face as a society, as a globe, as a country. I wonder if we have the possible wherewithal to do it. And I don't see it. I don't see the leadership. I don't feel the curve that we need a curve to get ourselves out of these messes. And are we truly on the last days of planet Earth? Unfortunately, I am one of those who is a pessimist. But whatever happens, I want this to be an oasis of intelligence, good manners, good humor, good fellowship, and a willingness to help, and a willingness to overlook some of the small things. People are imperfect animals. That's what we are. Of course we make mistakes. Your CEO makes mistakes. But ask yourself whether it's in the best interest to call every little error that you see. Or shouldn't some credit be given to the fact that every day he fights the battle that we all want to win. We all want us to be more civilized and grander, and realize the gentle natures of our souls. So pick your shots, folks. Wound your CEO, you wound the cause. I want to take a moment now. Lisa, go ahead.
I see at all just what Worldprofit has put together between Sandy, George, and yourself. You guys are the most caring individuals to ensure a person's success on their own terms on the internet. So I certainly appreciate that.
You know, this is going to cause no surprise to you, but I never set out to be the CEO of a high-tech company. As you well know, as I've said many times, I have a tested mechanical aptitude at the 5th percentile, which means that newly born monkeys can do more things with their fingers and toes than I ever can even imagine. About this time of the day when I'm looking at the screen and it's jumping up and down because I'm dyslexic, I'm tired, but I'm not dismayed by it, because this is today, like all days, we have made progress. We brought new people in. We started new monitors on the road to success. We brought new silver package owners in. We've seen people like Diane Dorn come back and recite this. In short, by working together, we accomplished extraordinary things that no one else on the internet has even dreamt of. We do them every day as a matter of mundane pedestrian course. And now, I want to make a little announcement. The video course is a great success. I'm now clear on how it should be organized. And on Saturday, we will have another bit of the video history. I'd like to see everyone there, 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock, rather, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, after anything goes. See what we're doing. We're teaching people how to move mountains for their businesses, how to talk to people all over the world from the comfort of their home. Nobody's doing this. You look through the catalogs of the business schools of the country and you say, where is the video training course? It doesn't exist. We're not training people to use a video. We are. And we know how powerful video is. And it takes a person like Lisa out there in Alberta. It gives her a worldwide platform. Who can give it? Who is doing this? No one. We do it because we are not afraid of what will happen. We're delighted that she's going to do it. That she is doing it. She came to us timid. She won't leave timid. That's for God's sake. Well, Lisa, we're coming to the end of our program today. What kind of things would you like to add?
Well, I think, as I say, the Anything Goes program is a great opportunity for folks to actually come to listen and get the bonuses we provide. First, you get the video to watch, so you're very well informed. George has put together an awesome presentation, and the best boot camp training system, step by step, for beginners, experts, and everyone in between. You just can't beat it. And then to have the ability to work with Dr. Lant on a one-on-one basis and he's doing this for free for us, to teach you how to actually be on camera, come across, and that's for the benefit of, your own personal online business. It's just a world of education. I think no one should pass up, because I'm just glad Dr. Lant is here for that, and I'm glad I took advantage of that. It's a privilege.
I want to say, I want to clue you in. I've sent a memo to all of you who are monitors. I've begun my next major project. And I want to tell you what it is, and I want to tell you your role in this project, because this is a collective thing. I have learned at age 67 that I get tired. The well sometimes runs precariously near being dry. But my brain, as my grandmother told me when she was 90, she said, you'll understand what I'm about to tell you someday. She said, my face and body may be withered and old, but on the inside, I'm 18. But I didn't know what that meant when she told me, but I know now. And so I want to dedicate whatever time there is to the great causes, not people who won't pay attention and argue about trivia. There's not enough time or enough desire in me to argue with a single person who feels an argument is necessary. Most of the time, it is not even worth a comment, much less an argument. And so I began my new project, which is to augment in a significant way my house tour, my collection, and to make a statement that needs to be made and adhered to by all educators. We are in danger of losing the arts. You take a look over the last many decades, bit by bit, the teaching of the arts in public classrooms has diminished to nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is a mistake. And so I have a bully pulpit, as Teddy Roosevelt once said, here at Worldprofit. And I was able to push the book edit in front so that you would all get the benefits. You wouldn't have to wait for it. And I adhere to my own high standard on that. And now I'm beginning this, because I want to say what I know about the importance of the arts in a well-balanced liberal education. No arts, no liberal, no civilization, no democracy. These things all cut deep. So for the next few weeks, until I've run out of steam on this project, I will put what I am doing in perspective. The gentleman collector, who was a commonplace in the 18th century, now, well, hardly exists at all. They keep telling me at these auction houses that I am unique. I fear they may be right. And that is a tragedy. So I never set out to be unique. And so, how can you help? First of all, I'm doing my level best to bring in new monitors at a rapid pace. We have some Jim Dandy people who are going to be monitors. Jessica Elwood will be the first. We hope that she'll pass her ordeal tomorrow night. You see her around in the next day or so, help her. Help her pass. You know the kinds of questions we're going to ask. I want her to pass. She's got exuberance. She makes me smile. She makes me laugh. Her mistakes are picayune compared to what she brings to the table. Help me. Bring her in. Don't make me do this alone. And I have asked a number. We have another 6 new junior monitors in training. Pick them out of the crowd. Bring them up. If there's a gap in the schedule, bring them up and do the training right there. In other words, if we work together, this problem is trivial. If you drop it on me alone, it may never be solved to your liking. If we work together, it will be solved to everyone's liking. And somebody said to me, why did we bring back the ordeal? It has some negative word. Because Sharon O'Shott's asked me to. She said, the community wants to be involved in the determination of monitors. And I said, yes, I know, let's do it. She said, I want you to do this. And I said, well, I believe in you. You are adamant on the subject, so I believe in the cause. So this is what we're doing. Do you have a comment on that?
No, I think it's probably to get the impression from everyone is a good idea. It's a realistic view for the junior monitor, not just from your opinion, Dr. Lant. It comes from the community. I think that's important for the junior monitors to recognize. Mind you, my ordeal, I think is the ordeal going on at one point, but since I've passed that, well, conditionally a lot of times, but since I've surpassed that, it can be a positive, definitely a positive thing too for the junior monitors.
Of course it is. We're not really lighting the fire until we're burning at the stake, which is a big advance over the 12th century. We're not pushing them into the pond and sink or swim.
And another thing I should add too is not only that, but just having the other senior monitors their comments on the screen is a good review for the other senior managers as well, myself included. Like Linda and Sharon, there's some things that I learned from them as well, just from that ordeal.
Now what I'm going to do is, first of all, I want to thank Lisa for coming up and helping me out. Lisa, for those of you who don't know it, has become a real helper. It's gone beyond the pedestrian things that need to be done to helping out. You can't accomplish great goals without great support. It's just not possible. And I have so many crusader topics to deal with, which Worldprofit and the enlightenment and empowerment and the enrichment of the world is just one. These are big things. I need lots of help. I have the best support team in the world. It can always be better. So, Lisa, I'm going to ask our Patrice Porter to come up and finish our program today. Thank you again. And then my comments from the heart.
And as well, we certainly appreciate what we get from Worldprofit.
And we are lucky to have Patrice Porter, our white rabbit, who pulls the strings around here. What did you think of today?
Wow. It's such an interesting, your articles there and how timely they are when you pull up the front page news and you've got articles there on it, and that you had that connection with Jackie Onassis or Jacqueline Kennedy and sharing with us. It just always makes me feel very privileged to be able to be up here and to be sharing this. And if anybody wants to watch the replay of it, they can catch it on the YouTube channel, anything Pat Porter. And also the talk of your book. I had a chance to read it while I was in the dentist office. I had bought along my little Kubu reader, and
that's apt.
Yeah. After the it's just very precise and to the point, and it just puts that opportunity right in front of you, and it's like either you're in that 1%, you take that and run with it, or you're in the 99 that fail. And all the steps are there for what you need to do to succeed, and just in reading it, it inspires me again to keep moving forward and getting it into as many hands as I can. It's a great gift you've given to us, and I sure appreciate that. And with the business that I've developed here with Worldprofit, you can check that out in my Home Business Central at www.20waystoprofit.com, and you'll also, I've used the Worldprofit system and tools and resources and support, and bringing my gardening expertise forward to help people create abundance by gardening. And you can check that out at www.gardeningforfoodsecurity.com. And with that, I'm going to say my adieus. I'm going to be up here for the next hour after the Anything Goes program, and I'll have a direct link then for today's program. But if you don't get that link, you can always go to the YouTube channel Pat Porter for all the different Anything Goes programs that have been recorded beforehand. So that, I'll say my adieus and see you back up here in the next hour. Bye for now.
Now we'll do my wrapping number. First of all, I wanted to thank Patrice Porter, as always, for her hard work. She took this project and ran with it. It's a mammoth project. We will, at its conclusion, we will have recorded over 1,000 videos based on my work. I don't believe that anyone else in the internet is doing anything remotely as big and monumental as this project. It will take many years to be finished, but it's working now. In the preparation for today's course, I had occasion to type in some words from the musical Camelot, which we use as the theme music. And when I typed in the words, the second entry on the page was on the Pat Porter Network, which was a program that we did on the Kennedys some months ago. And that was in second place on the page. And that was just a random search. That's exactly what's happening. You cannot look anywhere on this internet and not find the sensible advice and the step-by-step recommendations of George Kosh, Sandy Hunter, myself, all of you monitors. We are everywhere. And I feel sorry for people who do not understand that and won't speculate the pittance of $99.95 to come into this community and learn. Their fate is secured, they're sealed, they will not amount to anything, they will never make a dime, never make a penny. It is their own fault, we can only do so much. And it is a sad thing when one of them chooses to fail. It's a position that I've never understood. In any event, I'm going to go down. I want to thank everyone for their attendance. We meet here every day at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, on Saturday we have this special program for video training, which is in this space at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. So, in the immortal words of Cole Porter, in olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked upon as something shocking. Now, God knows, anything goes. And this has been your host, Dr. Jeffrey Lant, speaking to you, as always, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, the capital of the internet, right smack dab in the middle of all that activity. Thanks so much. We'll see you again tomorrow.